We're still talking about Kaana wa akhawatuha, Kaana and her sisters. And we've reached where the author says, may Allah have mercy upon him, Asl, original text, وكان بجواز زيادتها متوسطة. And Kaana, in particular, may be an additive. It may be additional, put in between words. It may come as an additive that is put between words. So additive here. Another important thing. This is when you have something that if you take it out, the talk that it was in is still stable. The basic meaning of whatever was there is still stable. Yani. So that's the case of the kaf in laysa kamithlihi shay. Laysa kamithlihi shay. It's zaida. Al-kafu zaida. This is what it means when they say harf zaid. But in this case, it's a harf. So they're going to say harf jar zaid. It's an additive. The additive here doesn't mean it's pointless. It's not pointless. But it has a point. It has a reason there. And the reason they call it zaid is that if you take it out, the fundamental meaning stays stable. So you say laysa kamithlihi shay. That means nothing is like him. Take the kaf off. It becomes laysa mithlahu shay. Still means nothing is like him. The kaf was added for something, but its removal will not cripple the statement. That's what it means for something to be zaid in Arabic, or ziyada. So Kaana has a part in ziyada in Arabic. So let's see what Ibn Hisham has for us. He gave an example. نحو ما كان أحسن زيدا. Like this statement here. ما كان أحسن زيدا. So according to what I'm saying to you, if you remove Kaana from the sentence, then the fundamental meaning should remain stable. That would be Ma ahsana Zayda. How good Zayd is. That's a statement of ta'ajjub. How good Zayd is. So Ma kana ahsana Zayda still means how good Zayd is. Just like Laysa kamithlihi shay, it means nothing is like God, with the kaf or without the kaf. الشرح, the explanation. ترد كان في العربية على ثلاثة أقسام. Kaana comes in Arabic with 3 divisions. ناقصة. So it comes as a lacking verb. That's where we started. فتحتاج إلى مرفوع ومنصوب. Therefore, yani by definition that was established last week, yani just in the previous paragraph. By definition, it is a verb that won't be complete unless it has both something nominative and accusative, marfu' and mansub. It doesn't suffice with only marfu' with a nominative noun. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Let me show you something. I'll try to make this quick. So, you say in Arabic, Qama Zaydun. So you know, Qama, that's the fi'l. Zayd, that's the fa'il. Doing and doer. Doing and doer. So that's valid. There's nothing in the mind that invalidates a doing without a done thing. There's nothing in the mind that invalidates a doing without a done thing. Okay, so yani, we don't need something mansub here. We don't need an object here. Like, it's complete. This is called umda. Umda means fundamental speech. All that's what's needed for the speech to be valid, not more. Umda. But if you say Kaana, if you say Kaana Zaydun, so Kaana here is the verb. Zaydun, that's a marfu', that's a nominative, nominal, or noun. It's not sufficient here. It's incomplete. We still need something. Kaana Zaydun qa'iman. Kaana Zaydun qa'iman. Now it's complete. So this is called lacking verb, Kaana. This is called lacking verb because of its inability to suffice with only a marfu', a nominative noun. So what would just cross my mind now? What the Ash'ari said about the fi'l in the maf'ul. It's like they're saying the fi'l is naqis, needs a maf'ul. If you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. But it's like they're saying the fi'l is naqis, needs maf'ul, or it's naqis, incomplete. The Maturidis are saying, we're not dealing with naqis verbs here. This is an analogy I'm giving you, just an analogy. We're dealing with complete verbs here. Qama Zaydun, fi'l fa'il, sufficient. Let's continue. So, naqisa, he told us, Kaana comes in Arabic in three ways. Naqisa, lacking. فَتَحْتَاجُ إِلَى مَرْفُوعٍ وَمَنْصُوبٍ. And therefore it needs both a noun that's in nominative case, marfu', and one that's in accusative case, mansub. Nahu, such as وَكَانَ رَبُّكَ قَدِيرًا. And your Lord was very powerful. وَتَامَّ, the second one is complete. That's what we talked about last week. فَتَحْتَاجُ إِلَى مَرْفُوعٍ دُونَ مَنْصُوبٍ. So then it needs only a nominative noun and not an accusative one. Nahu, such as وَإِن كَانَ ذُو عُسْرَةٍ. If one were poor, simple translation. If one were poor, means he doesn't have the money to pay his debt. So if he were poor, then such and such. فَنَظِيرَةٌ إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ. So here, this is complete sentence in itself. كَانَ ذُو عُسْرَةٍ. He was poor. And what do we look at usually when we talk about this topic? You might guess. We look at, when we talk about this topic, the hadith, كَانَ اللَّهُ ولم يكن شيء غيره. كان الله ولم يكن شيء غيره. Allah was, and there wasn't anything else. So this first one here, Kaana Allahu, which Kaana is that? That's the second one here, Tamma. That's Kaana at Tamma. So when you parse the sentence and you talk about this Kaana, you're going to call it Kaana Tamma because of Hamzatul Wasl. Kaana at Tamma, run it together. Kaana Tamma. So there's Kaana Naqiswa, because you're not going to say Al Kaana. So it's just Kaana. Kaana Naqiswa, lacking Kaana. Kaana Tamma, complete Kaana. And what about this one here? Walam yakun shay'un ghayru. Is this naqisa or tamma? Yakun shay'un ghayruhu. Walam yakun shay'un ghayruhu. Now I don't remember. We did take it though. Okay. He says, waza'ida, and sometimes kana will be an additive. فَلَا تَحْتَاجُ إِلَى مَرْفُوعٍ وَلَا إِلَى مَنْصُوبٍ. Then it will neither need something nominative nor accusative. Okay. وَشَرْطُ زِيَادَتِهَا أَمْران. The condition for this kana to be an additive is two things, two matters. أحدهما أن تكون بلفظ الماضي. One of them is that it would be, in particular, a past tense wording. Its wording would be past tense. Kana, not yakunu. والثاني أن تكون بين شيئين متلازمين. And the second is that it comes between two things that are bound together. ليس جارا ومجرورا, but not a prepositional particle with its object. كقولك ما كان أحسن زيدا, like for you to say this sentence. أصله ما أحسن زيدا. Originally the sentence is ما أحسن زيدا. That means how nice Zayd is, or how handsome Zayd is, or beautiful. Because husn could be jamal, beauty. And husn could be yani, like goodness, niceness, or something like that. فزيدت كان بين ما وفعل التعجب. So here, Kaana was added between ma and the verb of astonishment. ولا نعني بزيادتها أنها لم تدل على معنى البتة. And we do not mean by its being an additive that it does not indicate any meaning at all. بل أنها لم يؤت بها للإسناد. Rather, what we mean is that it wasn't produced to be part of the sentential link. It wasn't produced to be part of the sentential link. Also, the author says, original text. وحذف نون مضارعها المجزوم وصلا. And another thing special about Kaana is that you can omit the noon from its mudari' form, past or present or future tense form. Its present or future tense form. Majzoom, when it's majzoom in particular, not marfu', not mansub. Wasla, and when you're continuing to speak after it, not stopping on it. You know how you can omit the tanween when you stop on it? And when you keep reading, you say the tanween like that. Yani, here, when you keep reading, you can drop the noon, not when you stop on it. That's what I mean, like that, just, yani, it's like the reverse though. إِن لَمْ يَلْقَهَا سَاكِن, if there is not a sukoon after it. وَلَا ضَمِيرُ نَصْبٍ مُتَّصِلٍ, nor is there a suffixed accusative pronoun. Nor is there a suffixed accusative pronoun. So hopefully all those words are clear for you. Those are all grammar words. What does accusative mean? Mansub, what does mansub mean? Hopefully it's clear for you. But you can ask if you want to. Suffixed, what does that mean? Yani, you know, I think what suffix mean? Muttasil, connected. But in this case, yani, I'm saying suffixed because it's going to be connected to the back. Sometimes something is muttasil from the front. Then you'd say in English prefix, not suffix. Okay. So this is a nice case that you should know. All the time, most of the time I say, this is an important case. This is an important case. This one is a nice case. But if you didn't know it, you won't be crippled. You're just going to come across something every now and then and not know what it is, and then you'll have to ask. الشرح, the explanation. تختص كان بأمور. Kaana has some specialties. منها مجيئها زائدة. One of them is that it can come as an additive. وقد تقدم, and that has been presented. ومنها جواز حذف آخرها. And one of them is the possibility of omitting its end, which is that noon. So that's why this is the chapter of Kaana and her sisters. Yani, why does Kaana get to be named in the front? Like, you know how some people, if they want to do a business or a television show, they're concerned whose name goes first, whose name goes second. Why Kaana gets to get the name in the front? It's Kaana and her sisters. What, is she the lead singer here or what? What's going on here? So every chapter has what's called Ummul Bab here. Ummul Bab. Ummul Bab, the mother of the chapter. Which one gets to be Ummul Bab, the mother of the chapter? The one that has all the, or the more special abilities, the one that's most special amongst all of them. The one that has the most specialties in each chapter is going to be Bab. So it's going to be that one with its sisters. So Kaana is the one that has the most specialties. So then she gets her name on the front. وَذَلِكَ بِخَمْسَةِ شُرُوطٍ. That's going to be for 5 conditions, or under 5 conditions. You can omit the last letter of Kaana under 5 conditions. وَهِي, they are أَن تَكُونَ بِلَفْظِ الْمُضَارِعِ. That the wording is present or future tense in particular. وَأَن تَكُونَ مَجْزُومَةً. And that the i'rab of the verb is jazm. It's in a state of jazm. وَأَلَّا تَكُونَ مَوْقُوفًا عَلَيْهَا. And that it is not stopped upon. You're not stopping upon it. You're going to continue going. You're going to continue, did I say reading last time? Let's say speaking. Really, all of this, don't forget, is under the pretext that you are speaking, not writing. What's kalam? وَاللَّفْظ اللَّفْظُ الْمُرَكَّبُ الْمُفِيدُ بِالْوَضْعِ. Lafz, pronunciation. Not kitaba, not writing. So you're going to continue speaking. وَأَلَّا تَكُونَ مَوْقُوفًا عَلَيْهَا. That it is not stopped upon when speaking. وَلَا مُتَّصِلَةً بِضَمِيرِ نَصْبٍ. Nor does it have a suffixed accusative pronoun. وَلَا بِسَاكِن. Nor does it have something with a sukoon attached to it, suffix to it. وَذَلِكَ كَقَوْلِهِ تَعَالَى. And that's like when God Almighty says, وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. That's what Mary said. That's what she said to the angel. And the angel told her, fear not, I am your Lord's messenger. I have come to give you the gift of a pure child. So she said, how could I have a child and no man has ever touched me? وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. And وَلَمْ أَكُ. أَكُ. يعني وَلَمْ أَكُن. The noon is missing, is dropped. It means walam akun baghiya, and I was not whore. So the noon is dropped. Walam aku baghiya. I wasn't a baghi. Asluhu akun. So the origin is akun, which means I am. I am. Akun. فَحُذِفَتِ الضَّمَّةُ لِلْجَازِمِ. So the dhamma, which was here, akunu. So the dhamma gets removed because of the jazim. Jazim means this one, lam. This particle that has the powers of jazm. So it is affecting the verb after it, putting it into the state of jazm. So the sukoon has to go away. So the dhamma has to go away and become sukoon. But then you're going to have 2 sukoons in a row, as you can see. And here, this is a typo right here. Wal wawu. وَالْوَاوُ لِلسَّاكِنَيْن. And then you omit this wow because of the 2 sukoons in a row. So it becomes akun, akun. وَالنُّونُ لِلتَّخْفِيفِ. And then you can get rid of the noon to make it even lighter. So then it becomes aku, but you can't just stop there. So if you keep talking, then you can say it. وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. وَهَذَا الْحَذْفُ جَائِزٌ. And this omission is what? Possible, permissible, meaning not necessary. If you don't do it, you won't be mistaken. It's not something you have to do or else you'll be mistaken. وَالْحَذْفَانِ الْأَوَّلَانِ وَاجِبَانِ. But the first two omissions were necessary, or else you'd be mistaken. Yani, when you said lam, you had to get rid of the dhamma, or else you'll be wrong. You can't say lam akunu. So you get rid of the dhamma for sure. But then you're going to have two sukoons. So you have to get rid of the waw, or else you'll be wrong. So you can't say lam akun. So you can say lam akun linguistically outside of Quran. It could be said walam akun baghiya, or you could say walam aku baghiya. Either way, either way you can say it. Neither is wrong. So that's why he's pointing out to us. This omission is jaiz, not wajib. And you know, this is the talk of the grammarians, not the jurists. When we say jaiz and wajib, this is not the talk of fiqh. It's not the talk of aqidah. This is the talk of language. ولا يجوز الحذف في نحو لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب. And it's not permissible to omit the noon in the likes of this ayah that I just recited to you. لأجل اتصال الساكن بها, because of the sukoon that connects to it. So I was saying suffix. Suffix is the wrong word. The sukoon that connects to it directly. Yani, not there. Yani, let me write it out for you here. You see how it's written here. Walam, Lam yakuni ladhin, this part. Lam yakuni ladhin. Why can't we get rid of the noon in yakun? Because there's a sukoon after it. Where's the sukoon? I'll show you here. You see how it's written here, but I'm going to write it slightly different to make the sukoon appear for you. So you have lam yakun, and if you say alladhina, if you write it the way it sounds, you'd say alladhina with two lambs there. First lamb has sukoon. Second lamb has fatha. Alladhina. This noon has sukoon. So this is unreadable like that. We need to break the succession of sukoons so that we can even pronounce that. So, question. Which haraka, which vowel is the standard vowel, not 100% always the one, but the standard vowel, the original vowel, which one is the standard vowel for breaking two sukoons? For breaking the succession of two sukoons? 5, 4, 3, Kasra, that's correct. So we're going to get rid of this sukoon and put a kasra here. And of course, this alif, we're going to read right through it since we're not starting with it. So the way to pronounce this is lam yakuni ladhina. Now, if I stop, Anywhere I stop, correct Arabic is to stop on a sukoon. Anywhere. Start with a haraka, end with sukoon. Lam yakuni alladhin. So, we can't drop this noon because of the sukoon that is directly after it. Not suffix to it, but directly after it. He says, فَهِيَ مَكْسُورَةٌ لِأَجْلِهِ. The noon takes a kasra because of this succession of sukoons. فَهِيَ مُتَعَاصِيَةٌ عَلَى الْحَذْفِ على الحذف لقوتها بالحركة. And so then this noon now becomes defiant of omission. Becomes defiant of omission. Interesting words there. فهي متعاصية. So this noon now becomes defiant to omission because of being strengthened by the vowelizing it, by putting a kasra on it. ولا في نحو إن يكنه فلن تسلط عليه. Nor can the noon be omitted in the likes of this case. إن يكنه. إن يكنه. So yakun is majzoom. It's mudari' majzoom. But we can't drop the noon because of the hat, because of the accusative suffixed pronoun. In yakunhu falan tusallata alayh. I'm not sure how to explain that. لاتصال الضمير المنصوب بها, because of the suffixing of the accusative verb to the noon. So we can't remove the noon now. والضمائر ترد الأشياء إلى أصولها. والضمائر ترد الأشياء إلى أصولها. Pronouns restore things to, that's what restore means. I was going to say to their origins, but I don't have to say to their origins. Pronouns restore things because there's something in Arabic which is, now I'm going to call it restoration. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. That means you could have a word in Arabic and then because of some sarfi reason gets transformed. But then there are some issues in Arabic that will restore it. Like what? Like miniaturizing a word. Miniaturizing a word restores the word. Yani restores something. Restores something. For example, take this word, ghanam. Ghanam, that's sheep or goats. Ghanam. Is it masculine or feminine? Well, if we miniaturize it, we'd say ghunayma. Ghunayma. Where'd that femininity come from here? Why did we put femininity here? Because we miniaturized the word, and miniaturization restores. Yani, the way they say it is in Arabic is what he said here. Taruddu al-ashya'a ila usuliha. It reverts the word back to its origins. It reverts words, reverts things. You need to be so careful because these scholars like Ibn Hisham, very precise ones, they say any word is most likely for a reason, not another word. Restores things, returns things to their origins. So that's why that femininity came out there, because of the miniaturization that يرد الأشياء إلى أصولها, that turns things back to their origins. And so that's what Ibn Hisham told us here about pronouns. وَالضَّمَائِرُ تَرُدُّ الْأَشْيَاءَ إِلَى أُصُولِهَا. Pronouns are amongst those things that turn things back to their origins. So then we can't drop the noon. وَلَا فِي الْمَوْقُوفِ عَلَيْهَا. Nor can this noon be omitted from a word that you're stopping on. نص على ذلك ابن خروف. Ibn Kharuf documented that. وَهُوَ حَسَن. And that was good documentation. MashaAllah. So I don't have any commentary here that I took. Looks like he's saying he caught it. لأن الفعل الموقوف عليه إذا دخله الحذف حتى بقي على حرف واحد أو حرفين وجب الوقف عليه بهاء السكت. Because when there's a verb and you stop on the verb, but there's omission on the end of this verb. There's a verb that has been subject or subjected to omission, and you're stopping on this verb. And nothing is left of this verb but one letter or two letters. So he's telling you Arabic rules. وَجَبَ الْوَقْفُ عَلَيْهِ بِهَاءِ السَّكْتِ. Then it would be necessary, wajaba, that means if you don't do it, you're making a mistake in the language. وَجَبَ الْوَقْفُ عَلَيْهِ بِهَاءِ السَّكْتِ. If this verb, because of omission, is only left with one or two letters, and you want to stop on it, then you have to produce the ha of pausing. The ha of pausing. كَقَوْلِكَ, like for you to say, because really then he's telling us the verb is that's the verb there, but if you want to stop on that, you need to put a ha sect, so you say وَلَمْ يَعِهْ, and lam ya'ih here, ya'ih. So the ha is for pausing. That means there's only two letters there. Ya'i. So you don't just stop and say ya, because there's two letters on this verb because of whatever omission happened to it. Yeah, and he looks like the verb was wa'a, past tense. Then became in mudari ya'i. So if you said lam, got to get rid of the ya. Then you're going to say lam ya'i. Well, he's telling us you can't stop like that. You must, if you need to stop there, then add a ha and say lam ya'i. And if you want to turn this into a command, you're going to get rid of the mudari letter in the front. Only thing that's going to be left is an ayn for kasra. But he's telling us you can't just say and stop. You need to put a ha. So you should say He says, فَلَمْ يَكُ بِمَنْزِلَةِ لَمْ يَعِي. And so, لَمْ يَكُ, like in the ayah, وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. It's like لَمْ يَعِي. فالوقف عليه بإعادة الحرف الذي كان فيه أولى من اجتلاب حرف لم يكن. So لم يكن is like لم يعي. So if you want to stop, you might as well bring the letter that was already there than to bring a whole another letter that wasn't even there before. In the case of ya'i, you're not going to bring the ya back. Lam ya'i, you're not going to bring the ya back because the hadfu harf al-illa is itself the sign of jazm, if you remember. So you have to keep that ya going. But in the case of lam yaku, the noon is not omitted because of lam. The noon is omitted because of lightening. But still is only having 2 letters because of omission. It's still a verb that only has 2 letters because of omission. So should we say lam yaku and add a ha, or should we just bring the letter that was already there and say lam yakun? He tells us stopping on it by restoring the letter that was there previously is better than summoning a letter that wasn't even there originally. ولا يقال مثله في لم يعي لأن إعادة الياء تؤدي إلى إلغاء الجازم. We can't say though for لم يعي, you can't bring the ya back and say لم يعي, because then you will be disabling the jazm, which is lam. You'll be turning lam off, so it doesn't work anymore, and then the ya will come back. بخلاف لم يكن, as opposed to لم يكن, فإن الجازم اقتضى حذف الضمة. The jazm lam in this case only dictated removing the dhamma, not a whole letter. لا حذف النون, not the noon, كما بينا, as we have clarified.
جزاك الله خيرا.
آمين وإياكم. You said, would this last part be considered a part of the rules of imla? Well, imla is about writing. We're not talking about writing. Ameen wa iyyakum. Now, and so now we have reached, we're still talking about Kaana wa akhawatuha, Kaana and her sisters. And we started talking about some of the special abilities of Kaana. And here's another one. Here's another special ability of Kaana. The author says, Asl, original text. وحذفها وحدها. And Kaana can especially be omitted alone. معوضا عنها ما معوضا عنها ما, and being replaced by ma. في مثل, in the likes of أما أنت ذا نفر, أما أنت ذا نفر. Let's see how he translates that for us. I'm the translator. Let's see how he explains that for us, insha'Allah ta'ala. وَمَعَ اسْمِهَا, and Kaana can be omitted with its noun. مثل إن خيرا فخير, like saying this sentence. In khayran fa khayr means to the effect of, if it's good, then good. Or no, if good, then good. If good, then good. And the meaning is, if it were good, then good. That's an approximation, of course. وَالْتَمِسْ وَلَوْ خَاتَمًا مِنْ حَدِيدٍ. And also, this which is a hadith, and this which is a hadith, iltamis walau khataman min hadid. It means seek a woman's hand in marriage. Seek to be engaged. Even if it were, even if a ring made of iron, even if a ring made of iron, walau khataman min hadid, even a ring made of iron, meaning even if it were a ring made of iron, something like that. Ash-sharh, the explanation, min khasa'isi kan, amongst the specialties of Kaana, jawazu hadfiha, is the validity of omitting it altogether. Walaha fi dhalika halatan, and in this case it has two cases. In this issue it has two cases. فَتَارَةً تُحْذَفُ وَحْدَهَا, sometimes it will be omitted alone. وَيَبْقَى الْإِسْمُ وَالْخَبَرُ, and the noun and the predicate will stay together. Not stay together, but will stay. And the noun and the predicate will stay. You know what this means, inshallah, because we've been studying. وَيُعَوَّضُ عَنْهَا مَا, and then ma will replace it. وَتَارَةً تُحْذَفُ مَعَ اسْمِهَا وَيَبْقَى الْخَبَرُ, and sometimes it will be omitted with its noun and only the predicate will remain. وَلَا يُعَوَّضُ عَنْهَا شَيْءٍ, and nothing will replace it. In terms of replacement in Arabic, that's usual and it's not necessary. If it were said that in Arabic you don't omit something without replacing it, without giving it a replacement, that's a broad rule, it's not an absolute rule. It's possible to omit without a replacement. Like in the word yad, dal, there's only two letters there. Where's the third letter? It's omitted and there's no replacement for it. فَالْأَوَّلُ بَعْدَ أَنِ الْمَصْدَرِيَّةِ, now the first case will appear after the infinitive n, the infinitive particle. Now I'm still translating for you. At this point, though, you should really be used to saying al-masdariyah. That's better for you than just to cling to the translation and hold it only. في كل موضع أريد فيه تعليل فعل بفعل. So the first case, which is omitting Kaana but leaving its noun and its predicate, This happens after N al-Masdariya, the infinitive particle. And he says, anywhere where what's meant is that an action was done because of another. Where what's meant is that an action was done because of another. Now, if you know some Arabic and then you saw this example here, I want to mention this before I forget. So what did he say? وحذفها in the متن وحذفها وحدها معوض عنها ما في مثل أما أنت ذا نفر. So if you know some Arabic here, then some things should cross your mind. So let's say you're not sure about this case. This is a new case for you. And so we're talking about omitting Kaana. All right. And we're saying that ma will replace Kaana. So here's the example. Amma anta dha nafar. Now you know that in Arabic there's the word amma. That's a word, amma. But you might want to ask yourself, is this that amma? Because he said only ma. He didn't say amma. He said ma only. That ma will replace this Kaana. So then, what crosses my mind that one would say, okay, this can't be, this amma here can't be that amma, like when you say amma ba'd, amma, which means as for or concerning. So it doesn't mean amma here. This amma doesn't mean that one. So he said ma will replace Kaana here. So then it must be here that this hamza, even though this is all written like one word, this hamza is not part of the ma we're talking about. So there's a hamza here and there's ma here. And then I would say there must be some idgham going on here. A merger of letters. Looks like there's some merger of letters going on here. Now, if that's a merger of letters going on here, then what letters would those be? So, what merges into a meme? Well, meme does definitely merge into a meme. Amma, amma, and there is a word in Arabic, which means or. Is it that one? Is this amma? Yani, I will be asking myself, trying to figure out what I'm looking at here. Also, noon merges into meme, so here's that hamza and here's ma. Noon merges into meme, and if I merge the noon into the meme, I'd say amma, like that. Amma, yani the origin would be enma, and then I merge them. Amma. So, from what I know of Arabic, that's what I think is probably is going on here. Enma, just because of how pivotal, powerful, and important and versatile N is. I think probably this is N and ma. So just wanted to point that out for you if that benefits you. So he says here, فَالْأَوَّلُ بَعْدَ N. So when he said after N, then this verifies for me what I think it is. Or in other words, I didn't review. Now I'm just reading with you cold. So really, that's really what happened for me. فالأول بعد أن المصدرية. So the first one is after N, the infinitive particle. في كل موضع أريد فيه تعليل فعل بفعل. In every spot where what's meant is that an action was done because of another action. How do they know that? How did they come to this rule? Did they make it up? They didn't make it up. The grammarians were like people who came to a previously existing structure and then they just described it as they found it. كقولهم. So it's like they're saying أما أنت منطلقا أما أنت منطلقا انطلقت أما أنت منطلقا انطلقت. So this sentence here, he says أصله, originally this is انطلقت لأن كنت منطلقا. انطلقت لأن كنت منطلقا, which means انطلقت, I have gone, I have left. لأن كنت منطلقا, because you were a leaver, a goer, because this is an adjective here. So I'm just going to translate it as an adjective. I left because you were a goer, but if you just want a smoother sentence, you'd say, I left because you were leaving. Or I left because you were going. I went because you were going. انطلقت لأن كنت منطلقا. I left or went because you were a leaver or a goer. فقدمت اللام وما بعدها على الفعل للاهتمام به. So he's telling us now the process of how did we get to the sentence that's the example. He says, the lamb was forwarded. And all of what came after it was forwarded because of its importance. أو لقصد الاختصاص, or to focus, to draw focus. What does that mean, to draw focus? Like, if I say, ضرب زيد عمرا, I'll write it for you. If I say, ضرب زيد عمرا. And then if I were to say, عمرا ضرب زيد, as you know, in principle, those mean the same thing. That Zayd is a striker and Amr is a struck one. But when I change the word order, I actually change the focus. So one of them is saying Zayd struck Amr, and one of them is saying Amr Zayd struck. So although the meaning, the essential meaning is the same, but the focus varies because of rearranging the words. Maybe that could be said in a better way. What I'm saying in English maybe could be said in a better way, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. So he says, كَقَوْلِهِمْ, no, sorry. Yeah. So he says, كَقَوْلِهِمْ, let me just read the whole thing and then I'll break it down for you. كَقَوْلِهِمْ أَمَّا أَنْتَ مُنْطَلِقًا انطَلَقْتَ أصله انطلقت لأن كنت منطلقا فقدمت اللام وما بعدها على الفعل للاهتمام به أو لقصد الاختصاص فصار لأن كنت منطلقا انطلقت ثم حذف الجار اختصارا كما يحذف قياسا من أن كقوله فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما أي في أن يطوف بهما ثم حذفت كان اختصارا أيضا فانفصل الضمير فصار أن أنت ثم زيد ما عوضا فصارت أن ما أنت ثم أدغمت النون في الميم فصار أما أنت وعلى ذلك أوكي. طيب. So here, let me write this out. Just want to find a nice white space for you here. All right. So here's the sentence they say. أما أنت منطلقا انطلقت. Here. أما أنت منطلقا انطلقت. Okay. So that's the example in the Arabic language. That's now Ibn Hisham wants to explain to us, how could you get to some sentence like this? And maybe you could perceive that this, what we're going through, is not very necessary for a beginner. Yani, we could afford to skip all of this whole point here. MashaAllah. It's not in Al-Ajurumiyah. How do you get to a sentence like this? So he told us. Originally, one would have said, انطلقت لأن كنت منطلقا. انطلقت لأن كنت منطلقا. Okay. انطلقت لأن كنت منطلقا. So here's Kaana. We want to omit this Kaana because that's our topic now. We're going to omit it and replace it with ma. So how do you get from this red sentence to that blue one? انطلقت لأن كنت منطلقا. So he told us, firstly, take this lam here, لأن, and everything that comes after it, just lam and everything that comes after it, and advance it up to the front. So then the result's going to be لأن كنت منطلقا انطلقت. Okay, so the last result is أما أنت منطلقا انطلقت. Now we're at لأن كنت منطلقا انطلقت. So he says, this is the origin. انطلقت لأن كنت منطلقا. I left because you were a leaver. Yani, the reason for my action is this action. Okay. So he says, then what you're going to do, omit this lamb. Well, firstly, the why did we advance it? Why advance it? He said, you're going to advance that because of its importance. Or ikhtisas, which I said means focus. Okay, so now I got like this. لأن كنت منطلقا انطلقت. So the next thing you're going to do is, he told us, omit this lamb. This lamb here. Oh man. Omit this lamb here. So then it will be an kunta. Subhanallah. Let me just do that again. Inshallah, you're patient with me here. Allahul Hakim yaf'alu ma yasha. So it becomes li an kunta muntaliqan انطلقت. لأن كنت منطلقا انطلقت. Then he told us, then after that you're going to remove this lamb from the front there. So it becomes أن كنت منطلقا انطلقت. أن كنت. And then why are you going to remove that lamb? Because that lamb is a harf jar that came in front of an, and it is frequent in Arabic. It is consistent in Arabic that prepositional particle can be removed from the infinitive particle. That's consistent. He even gave an example, Imam Ibn Hisham. He gave an example, but I'll give you maybe a better example. Allah knows best. Which is when you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. There's N in there. You know there's N in there because we merged the noon with the lam. You say Ashhadu an la. So there's an N there, but if you merge them, you say Ashhadu an la. So don't you know originally there's a ba in here? So originally you're saying Ashhadu bi annahu. Ashhadu bi annahu la ilaha illallah. So where's that bat? That bat got omitted because it came in front of an infinitive particle, harf masdari. So you can just remove it. You say ashhadu Allah. You don't have to say ashhadu bi an la. And that's consistent. There's a dua you say in meaning. You say, A'udhu bika an tudillani. It means min an tudillani. I seek refuge with you from you misguiding me, O Allah. So that's why this lamb got removed, because you can remove the prepositional particle from in front of the infinitive particle frequently and consistently in Arabic. I gave you example of bat. I gave you example of min. Here we're dealing with lamb. And Ibn Hisham gave us an example of fi that I read already. I just didn't translate it. So now this harf jar is gone. So all that's left now is an kunta muntaliqan intalaqt. Then we're going to remove Kaana, which is the kaf and the noon here. So all that's left is the pronoun that was attached to it. But it can't stand like that, only ta. So it has to become full disconnected pronoun, enta. So now we have an anta muntaliqan intalaqtu. But we want to replace Kaana after removing it. So then we're going to say ma here. So it was kunta, then it became basically ma enta. Instead of kunta, ma enta. So now it's en ma enta muntaliqan intalaqtu. And then what happened? We merged the noon and the meme. So it became amma anta muntaliqan intalaqtu. And that's the example we have here. Amma anta muntaliqan intalaqt. So this is a case of omitting Kaana and leaving its noun. Now let me read what Ibn Hisham said that I didn't really translate. He said, may Allah have mercy on him, فَقُدِّمَتِ الْلَامِ. So then the lamb was advanced, forwarded. وَمَا بَعْدَهَا, and everything after the lamb. The lamb until the end of the sentence was advanced. عَلَى الْفِعْلِ, ahead of the verb, which is the first word in the sentence originally. انطلقت. So انطلقت basically got pushed all the way to the back, and everything else got forwarded. Subhanallah. But there's a difference between saying it went backwards as opposed to saying the other one came forward. So he's saying all that other stuff came forward. He didn't say intalaqtu went backwards. Anyway, so the lamb and everything that was after it came ahead. للاهتمام به أو لقصد الاختصاص, because to give it importance or to focus. فصار لأن كنت منطلقا انطلقت. So the sentence becomes لأن كنت منطلقا انطلقت. ثم حذف الجار. Then the prepositional particle was omitted. اختصارا, for summarization. كما يحذف قياسا من أن, just as it is as a consistent rule, the prepositional particle that is omitted. So qiyasan here means consistent rule. Omitted from n, the prepositional, the infinitive particle. كقوله تعالى, he gives you an example of such a prepositional particle being omitted before n. فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما. It means there's no sin on him that he goes between the two mountains of As-Safa and Al-Marwa, or the two bases of As-Safa and Al-Marwa. أي في أن يطوف بهما. The meaning here is فلا جناح عليه في أن يطوف بهما. There's no sin on one in that he goes between the two bases of As-Safa and Al-Marwa. Okay. ثم حذفت كان. And then Kaana was omitted. Why? اختصارا أيضا. Also out of summarization. So notice he's telling you what happened and why it happened. What happened and why it happened. It's two different things. In some sciences, you don't learn all the things together. You learn them in pieces. Sometimes you learn what happened, you don't learn why it happened. You learn the rule, you don't learn the proof for the rule. For example. Because he could have just said, firstly, lamb came forward with everything after it. That's it. And not tell us why, but he told us why. And then he said, then the prepositional particle is omitted. He didn't have to tell us why, but he told us why. He said, out of summary. And he gave us an example. And then he told us Kaana was then omitted. He didn't have to tell us why, but he told us why. اختصارا أيضا, also out of summarization. فانفصل الضمير, and at that point the pronoun detached. فصار أن أنت, so then it became أن أنت. What was li an kunta became an anta. The lamb is gone and the kana is gone, which renders that pronoun to full detached form, anta. ثم زيد ما عوضا. Then ma was added as a replacement. فصارت أن ما أنت, so then it became أن ما أنت. ثم أدغمت النون في الميم, and then the noon was fused into the meme. فصار أما أنت, so then it became أما أنت. وعلى ذلك قول العباس ابن مرداس. العباس ابن مرداس. And this is how to explain the statement of Al-Abbas ibn Mirdas in a line of poetry. أبا خراشة أما أنت ذا نفر فإن قومي لم تأكلهم الضبر. I'm not going to try to translate the line of poetry now, but there's the shahid. أما أنت ذا نفر أصله لأن كنت فعمل فيه ما ذكرنا. And then what we mentioned is what was done to it. That's how it became أما أنت ذا نفر. So if you don't know some Arabic, if you don't have some strength in Arabic, you won't even know what that means. That includes Arabs too. Now the Arabs, they don't speak Arabic like the Arabs used to. They don't know Arabic like the Arabs used to. So you could say that to an Arab who say, شو معناه? شو معناته? He said the ma was added in replacement of what? In replacement of Kaana. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. Nah. Or he might say that to an Arab now. If he didn't study Arabic, he might say, ma fahimit. I don't understand. والثاني بعد إن ولو الشرطيتين. And the second case of omitting Kaana, which is going to be, you're going to omit Kaana and its noun. That's going to be after in or lo, those two conditional particles. In means if, and lo means if, or had only, or if only, or something like that. مثال ذلك بعد إن قولهم. So an example of that after in, if, is they're saying, excuse me, المرء مقتول بما قتل به إن سيفا فسيف وإن خنجرا فخنجر. It means A person shall be killed by that with which he killed. If a sword, then a sword. And if a dagger, then a dagger. So it means if it were a sword, then a sword. And if it were a dagger, then a dagger. وَالنَّاسُ مَجْزِيُّونَ بِأَعْمَالِهِمْ إِنْ خَيْرًا فَخَيْرٌ وَإِنْ شَرًّا فَشَرٌّ. And how the people would say, people will be paid for their deeds. If good, then good. And if evil, then evil. قال الشاعر, the poet said, لا تقربن الدهر آل مطرف إن ظالما أبدا وإن مظلوما. That's an interesting line of poetry. Also, I won't try to translate it now. But here's the shahid, the reference. In ظالما وإن مظلوما. أي إن كان ما قتل به سيفا. So the meaning here is, if what one used to kill were a sword, فَالَّذِي يُقْتَلُ بِهِ سَيْفٌ, then that by which he would be killed is a sword. وَإِنْ كَانَ عَمَلُهُمْ خَيْرًا فَجَزَاؤُهُمْ خَيْرٌ. And if their deeds were good, then their payment will be good. وَإِنْ كُنْتَ ظَالِمًا وَإِنْ كُنْتَ مَظْلُومًا. And if you were a wrongdoer, a zalim, or if you were mazluma, if you were wronged, in zaliman, and here in mazluma. وَمِثَالُهُ بَعْدَ لَوْ. And an example of that after low, قَوْلُهُ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ, is the Prophet's saying, may peace and blessings be upon him, إِلْتَمِثْ وَلَوْ خَاتَمًا مِّنْ حَدِيدٍ. Seek engagement, seek the hand of a woman in marriage, even a ring of iron. Yani, even if it were a ring of iron. If you have a question for me here, I probably can't answer it for you. وَقَوْلُ الشَّاعِرِ, and also what the poet said, لَا يَأْمَنِ الدَّهْرَ ذُو بَغْيٍ وَلَوْ مَلِكًا جنوده ضاق عنها السهل والجبل. Here, ولو ملكا, even a king, meaning even if he were a king. A, ولو كان ما تلتمس خاتما من حديد. So he said what I already translated for you. Even if it were a ring, made of iron. وَلَوْ كَانَ الْبَاغِي مَلِكًا. And even if the transgressor were a king. Wallahu a'lam, we'll stop there. Now he wants to talk about the sisters of Laysa. Now he wants to talk about the sisters of Laysa. Laysa is one of the sisters of Kaana. But Laysa has her own sisters. Like those are stepsisters or something for Kaana. So we'll stop here and we'll talk about that inshallah next week if Allah permits. Do you have any question I can answer for you?